Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a January transfer move to Arsenal. Whew, still nothing done, but getting very, very interesting now in this January transfer window. Mikel Arteta, of course, quizzed about it in his press conference yesterday. What are Arsenal doing? What signings are they making? As usual, and you expect it. Very, very coy on everything. Good news for Mikel Arteta is that a couple of injured players are coming back. He said Calafiori is back. Ethan Nwaneri back. Now, that's a really interesting one. Nwaneri, of course, he was playing in that right wing position and doing very well in the couple of games that he played it before he got injured. That might alleviate some of the issues that, Arsenal are having up front, with him and Sterling both competing for a position on that right-hand side. But we know that we still need more, namely a striker. What was also interesting in that press conference yesterday is that Mikel Arteta was asked about Fabio Veira and the possibility of him returning back to Arsenal. Remember, Fabio Veira is currently on a season-long loan at Porto, the club in which Arsenal bought him for £30 million. It's not even really been working out that great for him there. 11 appearances. I know he's had a few injuries, but only 11 appearances in the league so far this season. 2 goals and 1 assist. And 5 appearances for Porto in the Europa League. 1 goal he scored in the Europa League. But Mikel Arteta was asked, could Arsenal bring Fabio Veira back this January transfer window when you consider the amount of injuries, when you consider, even Martin Odegaard's been a bit off form. He can play in those positions, attacking midfielder, he can play on the right wing, and he's our player, And Mikel Arteta said that, they're exploring it, they're having a look at it, and he sort of, intimated that if they can't get certain targets, maybe that might be a thing that they do. That's the vibe that I picked up of how he sort of answered that question. That's not going to be what fans want to hear. I don't think fans really, and this is just being, I know we're always very harsh fans. I don't think fans are looking for Fabio Vieira to return, because we've seen Fabio Vieira play on that right-hand side, for instance, and we know that whilst he's a good player, he doesn't have the pace to play out on that right-hand side. But it is definitely something Arsenal are looking at. Although the Portuguese publication, Jojo, they claim that Porto have no intention of ending his loan early, and they want to keep him on loan until the end of the season. They're still in the Europa League, they're still battling in their league, and they don't want to lose the player. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. If Fabio Veira will return back to Arsenal before the end of the January transfer window. The other one that's very, very interesting and is turning into a battle now, that is the one for Matheus Cunha of Wolverhampton Wanderers. I spoke about this on the show yesterday, and I said that it's looking like he's throwing his toys out of the pram and he's agitating for a move, and that is exactly the case. He is refusing to sign a new deal at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, we know that, a couple of weeks ago, it was being, Arsenal... all right, let me rewind, spin it back to the start of the transfer window. Arsenal interested in Matheus Cunha. They identified him, they like him as a player, would love to sign him. However, just a little bit after that, it was sort of put out there by multiple journalists that Matheus Cunha on the verge of signing a brand new deal at Wolverhampton Wanderers that will keep him at the club at least till the end of the season, get his wages up and end all speculation of him moving anywhere. However, since that, it's all going a bit messy over at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Their captain, Lamina, he throws his toys out of the pram. He wants a move, and they're going to let him go. And now Matheus Cunha does not want to stay at Wolverhampton Wanderers, is refusing to sign this new deal. His head's been turned. There's apparently been interest, not apparently, we know there's interest from Arsenal, but apparently Arsenal have spoken to his representatives and they want to move for him this month, and he wants to move to Arsenal. And now it's a real standoff between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Matheus Cunha. He wants out of the club. Then you add into the mix the fact that there are other clubs that want him as well. This is where the battle begins. Nottingham Forest, as reported by Sammy Mockbell yesterday, the journalist, they're interested. They would like to sign Matheus Cunha. They're looking for a forward player, and they are very, very interested in signing him. Chelsea have apparently inquired about... How many more players does Chelsea want, by the way? But they've apparently inquired about Matheus Cunha as well. And Newcastle are also said to be one of those clubs that are showing an interest in Matheus Cunha as well as a couple of teams abroad. There are a lot of clubs interested in him, but he is apparently the club he favours going to is Arsenal. Now, where will he end up? And he could end up at any of those clubs, including Arsenal. He could also end up staying. Will he stay? I mean, Wolverhampton Wanderers are going to demand a lot of money for Matheus Cunha. They paid £44 million for him. It wasn't like they, got a bargain bucket, £10 million or £15 million signing and they make a big profit anyway. They paid £44 million for him in 2022. And they will want big money. There's been rumours that they demand as much as 80 million. They're not getting that, right? We're probably talking in the 60 mils, right? Or they may even force him to stay. They may just say to themselves, you know what? You are not going anywhere. We're so unhappy with the fact that, how you've handled this, that we're not letting you go. You're staying. And then he stays at the club. And then the battle begins again when it comes to the summer transfer window, when in that window you'd think he'd be definitely gone. They want to stay up, Wolves, and they see him as a very, very important player. However, if you force a player to stay against his will, are you going to get the Matheus Cunha that they've had since the start of this season, or do you get a Matheus Cunha that is so unhappy that his game falls off and that he's just not the same player? We saw the other night Wolves manager complaining about his attitude publicly and saying that he won't tolerate it again. I mean, this is going to be probably the biggest saga from now till the end of the transfer window. Does Matheus Cunha move to Arsenal, or maybe even some of the other clubs that have been suggested there, or does he stay? This is going to be so interesting to see. And will Arsenal put an actual bid in? And also, will he play against Arsenal on Saturday? Remember, Arsenal are playing Wolves on Saturday. If Matheus Cunha doesn't play in that game, I think you're almost guaranteed that he's on the move. But let's wait and see how this one develops. But the battle has begun for Matheus Cunha. Benjamin Sesko, what's going to happen with him? I was doing a show with David Ornstein yesterday for Sky, transfer show. You're going to see that coming out. Make sure you check it out when it comes out. And David Ornstein, me and him were talking about Sesko, and he said that, listen, he's Arsenal's sort of second choice as a striker. Their number one choice is what David Ornstein said to me, is Alexander Isak. That is the player that Mikel Arteta would love to sign. However, they know about the difficulties and everything about signing him. Second person up is Sesko. They'd love to sign Sesko, but would Leipzig let him go this month? That is the thing about it. Leipzig don't want to sell him this month, and it's going to be a very difficult deal to get done this month. End of the season, real possibility, but this month, very, very difficult for Arsenal to do. But again, it's going to be one to watch, because none of these deals Ornstein was ruling out. He was saying you can't rule it out, but difficult for Arsenal to do because it's more of a summer deal and Leipzig don't want to lose him before the end of the summer. Dusan Vlahovic, the journalist Rudy Galletti, he claims that Arsenal are the only club that have shown a real concrete interest in signing Dusan Vlahovic. Now, the sticking point is apparently the price. Juventus want around about £60 million for him, and they are not willing to lower that price. In fact, as a matter of fact, it's 60 million in some circles, they're saying he's 70 million. But they do not want to lower their price on that. Arsenal want him for a lower price for them to get more interested in him. Again, this is one to watch between now and the end of the transfer window. Juventus apparently would be willing to sell him if the price is right. And they have bought in Kolo Muani on loan. So that shows you that they've got cover in that area till the end of the season. Vlahovic could be gettable, but will Arsenal stump up the money? And this one was interesting. Yoanne Wissa. Now, Yoanne Wissa's been a target for Arsenal this transfer window. Arsenal have apparently made an inquiry to Brentford about the availability of Yoanne Wissa and have been knocked back. Nottingham Forest yesterday had a bid of £22 million rejected. They're getting very active in this transfer market, putting in bids for John Duran, which was rejected. Now putting this bid for Yoanne Wissa, which has been rejected also. Brentford refusing to sell Wissa, despite the fact that he's only got 18 months left on his contract. They don't want to sell him. They want to keep him. Probably thinking to themselves, we'll get the same amount of money come the summer if we're not able to sign him to a longer contract. But bid been rejected. Could Arsenal go in with a bid, higher bid maybe, to try and get Wissa? Will it be a higher fee that gets him out of Brentford? Again, one to watch this January transfer window. Difficult to get players over the line in it, but really interesting that Nottingham Forest bid for John Duran. John Duran, also interested. Bid for Wissa, also interested in Wissa. Now showing a big interest in Matheus Cunha. Who is it that was at Arsenal as our sporting director? Edu. Where is Edu, even though he's on gardening leave? Where is he about to join as the new head of football? Nottingham Forest. How comes they're interested in similar targets to Arsenal? Work out for yourself. Oh, boy. All right. Listen, thanks for watching the show today. Don't forget we're back here tomorrow, and we are here every single day of this January transfer window right up to the 3rd of February. It's going to be interesting. From Arsenal. Are they going to get really aggressive on Cunha? That would be, for me, a great signing for Arsenal. Remember, he can play centre forward, he can play anywhere across that front three, and as an attacking midfielder. This is going to be interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.